there's a professor at the University of Illinois, Ryan Ritter, whose team basically took people who followed atheists on Twitter, a handful of prominent atheists on Twitter, and a group of people who followed prominent Christians on Twitter. And basically they took all these, thousands and thousands of tweets made by, many, many people, and they analyzed them for what they said. And they wanted to know if they could figure anything out about atheists, about Christians, based on what they were tweeting. And it's not a perfect science because I'm an atheist, but I follow some Christians and vice versa. So it's not perfect, but you figure if you're following Richard Dawkins and, Christopher Hitchens, you're probably not that religious. At least that's the thinking. And what his team found, was that Christians are very likely to talk about things they know, they feel. They're certain about a lot of things, whereas atheists use a lot more analytical, logical words like think. I observed this. They're not as certain about everything, and that was an interesting difference. He also found that atheists were more likely to use negative words, swear words, curse words. They were angry about a lot of stuff. Christians, on the other hand, were very pleasant and good and optimistic. And the question is, what does that say? I'm not sure that says much about the people themselves. I don't think atheists are angry, bitter, people, and Christians are not. What I think it says is how atheists and Christians use social media more than anything else. Because, when I see atheists on Twitter, on Facebook, on their websites, it's usually in response to something that is happening, and usually something the religious people are doing that we're upset about, that we're angry about. And the internet is our place to vent. I have to go to church because my parents make me. You have a lot of teenagers saying stuff like that. And meanwhile, you have Christians who talk about God on Twitter and talk about their church and the love of Christ and all of this stuff. That's why they use social media. So of course their tweets are going to be, generally about life and happiness and goodness, whereas atheists are kind of playing defense and we're responding and we're reacting, and it's not always happy and pleasant. I think, though, if the stage was flipped and atheists were in the majority and church-state separation was a general way of life, you probably would see atheists saying a lot more happy, wonderful things, and you'd see a lot of Christians getting pretty angry and upset about, just about everything. So again, I don't think that study shows anything about the nature of atheists or Christians, but it does say a lot about how we use Twitter and online social networks. My name is Hemant Mehta. I write for friendlyatheist.com, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments.